If it weren't caught on camera, you'd never believe it. The top 10 most terrifying demolition disasters in history, with the number 1 so shocking viewers literally pissed themselves in fear. Most people have no idea. Every year, demolishing buildings worldwide produces over 2 billion tons of waste, enough to fill 10,000 standard soccer fields. And according to 2021 US demolition accident data, for every 1,000 operations, there are 2.3 serious incidents. The worst single case? A staggering $380 million in damages, including uncontrolled explosions, collapsing structures, worker deaths, and even nearby buildings destroyed in the chaos. In today's video, Earth Top 10 takes you inside 10 of the most horrifying demolition fails ever captured on camera. 10th place, Male, Danish silo. On April 6, 2018, in the southern Danish town of Vordingborg, what was meant to be a clean, textbook demolition turned into a slapstick comedy of architectural errors that left onlookers dumbfounded. The star of the show, a 52-meter-tall grain silo, meticulously planned by engineers to collapse gracefully onto its designated side. But in a jaw-dropping twist, the silo seemed to have a change of heart. It slowly pivoted mid-fall, defying gravity and logic, before crashing in the exact opposite direction, smashing straight into a nearby small library. Miraculously, no one was hurt, or this would have been front-page tragedy instead of viral farce. The moment of detonation was captured on video by a student from University College Zealand in nearby Nystad. The footage shows the silo initially tipping a few degrees as planned. Then, in a dramatic U-turn, it slows down, hesitates like an indecisive giant, and finally plunges headfirst into the library. It crushed the neighbor's roof like a pancake. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment stunt. The demolition had been planned for 6 whole months. Project manager Kenneth Witch watched in horror as his perfect plan unraveled. In a TV interview, he called it a nightmare come true. He insisted every protocol was followed to the letter. Early investigations found no operational errors on his part. But clearly, the silo had its own script. Even the Danish Explosives Association threw up their hands. We have no idea why it rebelled. Experts, however, offered some sharp insights that actually make sense. First, for a 50-plus meter silo, the top third must be mechanically removed first, using hydraulic shears or heavy excavators, to lower the center of gravity before any blast. Second, structural cuts should be made with precision saws, not jackhammers. Third, and this is critical, explosives are a poor choice for such structures. Mechanical dismantling is far safer. Most crucially, the support pivot. When the rear section was blasted out, no temporary bracing or burn-through supports were used to control the collapse direction. So when the silo tilted halfway and paused, the remaining base acted like a fulcrum, turning it into a seesaw. The center of gravity shifted, and boom, it flipped the wrong way, straight onto the library. Thus, this epic demolition fail became a legendary cautionary tale in the history of structural takedowns. 9th place, demolishing the wrong house. Who could have imagined a house being razed to the ground without any warning? If this were a comedy, the audience might burst out laughing, but in reality, it's downright chilling. In Detroit, a major demolition company with hefty contracts and years of experience, Adamu Group, managed to demolish the wrong house not once, but twice. On June 18, 2019, Adamu Group was awarded a $25,201 contract to tear down a fire-damaged property at 14-61 Omar Avenue. Yet, in November 2023, their excavator showed up at the wrong address and completely obliterated an innocent, perfectly fine house. It turned out the two properties were just a block apart, both under the Detroit Land Bank Authority. This wasn't their first rodeo with this blunder. Back in May 2018, they'd been suspended for 90 days over a similar screw-up. Adamu Group isn't some fly-by-night outfit. Since 2014, they've pocketed over $58.6 million in federal and municipal grants to handle thousands of demolitions, including the iconic $5.9 million Joe Louis Arena takedown. And yet, even with that scale and track record, they couldn't avoid a fatal error in the most basic task, verifying the target. The news of the wrong house demolition wasn't reported to the Detroit Land Bank until December 10th. It wasn't until the next day that the Detroit Buildings Department was officially notified, which promptly alerted the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. This delayed reporting only fueled bigger questions. Had a professional demolition team grown so overconfident, or complacent, that they skipped the crucial step of double-checking the address? DBA Special Projects Director Brian Farkas confirmed that Adamu faces at least another 90-day bidding ban, the minimum penalty under DBA policy. Though the policy notes that contractors who stay clean for a year after suspension won't face extra punishment for old sins, Adamu has clearly stepped on the landmine again. Ironically, building demolition demands razor-sharp precision and ironclad safety protocols. Any slip in coordinate or a misread blueprint can lead to irreversible damage. And for Adamu, this wasn't even their first door number mix-up. Don't these companies need to triple-check the naughty or nice list like Santa before swinging the wrecking ball? 8th place, Zip Feed Tower. December 3, 2005, was a day destined to be unforgettable in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and the star wasn't a celebrity, but a long-abandoned grain silo. Built in 1956, this 62-meter concrete colossus was once the tallest usable structure in the state, even if it was just a feed tower. Who could have imagined its final curtain call would be this absurd? The story begins with its demolition. The tower shut down in 2000, becoming a pigeon paradise and a quirky landmark on the east edge of downtown. To some, it was a proud relic of the city's agricultural past, to others, a hulking concrete eyesore. In 2005, the beast finally met its fate. Developers Jeff and Raven bought the land, ready to raze the old tower and build sleek new offices and retail space. But they wanted drama, a grand implosion. The whole city lit up with excitement. The mayor urged citizens to come watch. Downtown turned into a carnival. TV crews rolled in. People scrambled onto rooftops for the best view, all waiting for that earth-shattering boom. At 12:55 p.m. on December 3rd, the charges detonated in a ring around the base. The massive tower sank, and then, nothing. Everyone expected it to collapse like mashed potatoes, dust billowing, cheers erupting. Instead, it just dropped straight into its own basement, then stubbornly leaned, like a drunk giant refusing to fall. Turns out, the demolition crew wildly underestimated the building's toughness. They cut the rebar, placed charges between the base and columns, thinking they'd snap the vertical supports clean. But the Zip Feed Tower took the hit. It didn't topple. The damaged base simply collapsed inward, and the tower half-knelt, still standing defiantly. For the next 2 weeks, the crew had no choice but to call in cranes and wrecking balls, the old-school, back-breaking way, chipping it down bit by bit. Yes, what was meant to be a one-blast spectacle ended up as a slow, manual cleanup job. 7th place, St. Petersburg Sports Complex. In architectural history, demolition work should be a pinnacle of caution and precision. Yet, on January 31, 2020, at Russia's St. Petersburg Sports and Concert Complex, the process spiraled into an irreversible catastrophe. At the time of the incident, 29-year-old Matvey was working on the roof. Reports indicate he had left the safety of the crane's gondola to complete his task, without securing a safety harness. As he attempted to scramble back to the crane-suspended work basket, the building's steel structure gave way in seconds, collapsing like a house of cards. He lunged desperately for the basket to escape, but was ultimately dragged down with the crumbling framework into the rubble below. Rescue teams later recovered his body from the debris, while the other worker inside the basket miraculously survived. Russia's Emergency Situations Ministry reported that approximately 80% of the structure was obliterated in the collapse. The fate of the St. Petersburg Sports and Concert Complex had been sealed as early as 2019. Built in 1979 and opened in 1980, this iconic Soviet-era constructivist masterpiece wasn't just a venue for sports events, it held memories of countless concerts, tennis matches, fencing competitions, and more cultural milestones. Named after Lenin, it symbolized a generation's youth and national pride. But as time wore on, the building fell into disrepair, prompting city officials to greenlight its demolition. The plan? Erect a gleaming modern complex on the site, set to open in 2023. While the decision garnered some support, it ignited fierce backlash from local architects and heritage advocates. They argued it wasn't merely concrete and steel, it was a vital piece of Soviet architectural aesthetics and the spirit of an era, deserving preservation over brute force erasure. In the accident's wake, debates over safety accountability exploded. Investigations revealed Matvey hadn't been using a safety harness and was operating in an unauthorized zone, while the contractor's oversight clearly fell short. Though the local investigative committee stated no criminal probe had been launched yet, public outrage zeroed in on the construction firm's negligence. The loss of one life can't be chalked up to mere chance. This tragedy not only exposed glaring safety gaps in Russia's demolition operations but also forces us to reflect, in our rush toward urban modernization. Have we forgotten the cultural weight carried by these aging structures that witnessed history's turns? And in the act of tearing them down, do we afford enough respect and expertise to safeguard every worker's life? 6th 4th place, Clarion Hotel, Las Vegas. One jaw-dropping architectural demolition mishap unfolded here, earning it a spot as the ultimate stubborn holdout in engineering history. It all traces back to the early morning of February 10, 2015, when the Clarion Hotel's implosion demo went down. Nestled on Convention Center Drive in Las Vegas, this hotel had been jinxed from the start since opening in 1970. It cycled through 5 name changes: Royal Inn, Paddlewheel Casino, Debbie Reynolds Hollywood Hotel, Greek Isles, and finally Clarion, each reinvention crashing and burning. When developer Lorenzo Dumani decided to blast it for a shiny new resort and convention space, no one dreamed it'd bow out in such theatrical fashion. At 3 a.m., as Dumani hit the ceremonial detonator button, over 4,400 pounds of explosives fired in sequence. Under normal circumstances, this precision implosion would have flattened the structure in 10 seconds flat. But when the massive dust cloud cleared, there it stood, an 8-story-tall elevator shaft, defiantly upright. This concrete core had sunk about 4 floors but remained rock solid, like the Terminator straight out of a sci-fi flick, unfazed and unbreakable. Even the blasting experts were gobsmacked. "Are you kidding me?" Dumani stared at the rogue tower, half laughing, half crying in disbelief. This wasn't Vegas's first rodeo with hotel implosions. Since 1993, it had been the 13th. Heavyweights like the Dunes, Stardust, and Frontier had all crumbled on cue. But this creaky old Clarion, it flat out refused to fully collapse, marking the first ever failed blast for controlled demolition incorporated since their founding in 1957. On-site engineers chalked it up to the shaft being the building's toughest backbone. As the side walls buckled, falling debris jammed it in place, creating an accidental brace. Surveillance footage captured the blast. The shaft dipped and tilted slightly westward, then froze, halting mid-motion. This glitch gave gawking crowds a front-row lesson. Even the sharpest demo squads can lose to a structure's sheer will to survive. And the plot thickened. After modern tricks flopped, the crew drew cowboy inspiration from the Wild West. They lassoed steel cables around the top like roping a bronco, then teamed it with a massive crane to yank the 8-story concrete beast flat on its face. This mashup of old-school grit and high-tech muscle wrapped up the 13-hour demolition farce in true Vegas style. 5th place, Dust Catastrophe. On November 11, 2010, a meticulously planned implosion in Springfield, Ohio, USA, spiraled into a heart-pounding disaster. The star of this mishap, an 84-meter, 275-foot smokestack at the Mad River Power Plant, an 83-year-old facility long since shuttered. The operation was meant to be a textbook engineering showcase, topple the stack eastward with precision explosives, but seconds after detonation, it veered southeast, crashing with a thunderous roar. Worse, it snapped 2 high-voltage lines carrying 12,000 volts, showering the site in sparks as it pulverized the backup generator building. The scene was straight out of a nightmare. No one was hurt, thank God, but the cascade of fireflies and deafening crash sent onlookers scrambling in blind panic, fleeing for their lives. Springfield Township Fire Chief John Roeder, speaking to the media, recalled the horror. It suddenly started leaning the opposite way. "Holy cow, that moment was terrifying." Idaho-based Advanced Explosives Demolition Incorporated, the crew handling the takedown, insisted the blast itself was flawless, all charges fired as scripted. But a hidden culprit emerged, an undetected crack on the south side. As company president Lisa Kelly explained, the torque from the fall exploited that flaw, yanking the stack backward off course. The fallout? Far graver than anyone bargained for. The wreckage didn't just trash the generators, it crippled the power grid, blacking out 4,000 customers for hours. Fast forward to 2012, power giants First Energy and its sister company Ohio Edison hauled AED and partners BetTech Construction and Independence Excavating into Clark County Court. They accused the contractors of gross negligence, failing to slice the rebar on the stacks back per industry standards, all while botching the explosive layout. Damages? A staggering $19 million, by First Energy's tally. The contractors fired back. First Energy withheld the stack's full structural history and repair logs, blinding them to the risks. Blame flew both ways in a bitter standoff. After over 2 years of legal trench warfare, the parties inked a preliminary settlement in March 2014, details sealed, but the saga finally simmered down. Years later, twisted remnants still litter the site, a mute monument to this botched blast. It's a stark reminder. Even routine engineering feats can erupt into multi-million-dollar mayhem over one sneaky crack, a stubborn rebar, or an overlooked memo. Fourth place, Dallas Leaning Tower. Before Italy's Leaning Tower of Pisa, tourists love striking that classic propping it up pose, as if their hands alone are holding that tilted ancient wonder aloft. But in 2020, Dallas, Texas, staged its own real-life Leaning Tower farce, not a gift from history, but a bizarre blunder in modern demolition. Folks dubbed it the Dallas Leaning Tower. This tower's origins? An 11-story concrete office building at 2828 Haskell Avenue, erected in 1971 as the Southland Corporation's headquarters, the folks behind 7-Eleven. It later bounced between owners, including affiliated computer services, before landing with Delegate Properties. At about 47.9 meters tall, it screamed 70s modernism. On February 16, 2020, it was slated for the chopping block to clear space for a $2.5 billion mixed-use mega-project. Lloyd D. Neighbors Demolition took the reins, packing in roughly 300 pounds of explosives, poised to reduce the whole thing to rubble in a flash. But post-blast, the central elevator shaft and stairwell core stood defiant, like a stubborn sentinel, solitary, slightly tilted, and stubbornly upright. It didn't just survive, it sank 35 to 40 feet into the basement, rooting itself like a tree trunk in soil. The sight sparked a citywide frenzy. Texans from across the state flocked to snap pics, mimicking Pisa poses with this modern marvel. Social media exploded with #Leaning Tower of Dallas selfies, an instant viral storm. The demolition crew, mortified, they hatched a multi-phase backup, traditional wrecking ball swings. Day 1, the ball swung lazily into the core, and barely scratched it. Over the next 2 weeks, they tweaked tactics, deploying high-reach excavators and more, finally pulverizing the stubborn spire on March 3rd. What should have taken seconds dragged on for half a month. The modern Leaning Tower spectacle ended there, but its online buzz, that lingered like a legend. Third place, Silo Bow. In Ipswich, Queensland, Australia, a demolition meant to obliterate a 50-year-old grain silo ended with the structure giving a polite little nod, a moment so absurd it left jaws on the ground. This relic stood at Red Bank, once a vital storage hub for malting barley used in beer production. As times changed, the towering concrete giant fell into disuse, awaiting its final curtain to free up land for Queensland Rail. The job went to seasoned pros at Southern Cross Demolition, who wired it with roughly 100 kilograms of explosives, confident one blast would send the beast crashing down. But reality had other plans. With a deafening boom that rattled windows for miles, dust billowed sky high. Then, as the haze cleared, the silo didn't fall. It merely tilted slightly, like a dignified old man offering a courteous bow, then froze, utterly unmoved. Shock rippled through the crowd. Expectations shattered. Global media pounced. Southern Cross rep Troy McCracken told 9 News, "Explosives are an art. Too much or too little, and you're in trouble. This time, we were too careful. To save face, crews scrambled in heavy excavators. For 40 minutes, they rammed and shoved, until finally, the stubborn silo toppled with a reluctant groan. Yet its brief act of defiance had already gone viral. The BBC, MSN, and outlets worldwide ran the clip. MSN's headline, "Watch a building gracefully troll its own demolition," sparking global laughter and endless shares. This farce wasn't just comedy gold, it exposed a hard truth. Demolition isn't brute force, it's a high-stakes dance of physics, materials, and experience. That 4,000-ton reinforced concrete titan may have fallen under mechanical assault, but it left behind rubble, dust, and a lasting lesson. In the weeks that followed, the site was cleared and handed back to Queensland Rail. But the silo's sassy bow, that lives on in internet legend. Second place, Crawford Power Station. In 2024, a federal judge approved a $12.25 million settlement payout to residents of Chicago's Little Village neighborhood, compensating for health and environmental harms from the Crawford Power Station's demolition. But what on earth happened at this once mighty plant to spark such outrage? The Crawford Generating Station, built in 1924, sprawled across 72 acres in Chicago's South Lawndale community on the city's southwest side. Designed by the famed architectural firm Graham, Anderson, Probst and White, the masterminds behind landmarks like Chicago Union Station, the Chicago Board of Trade, and the Field Museum, it boasted an industrial Gothic style with striking red brick walls and Renaissance-inspired decorative flourishes. The result? A colossal yet dignified monument to early 20th century engineering. Activated in 1925, Crawford became the largest of Chicago's 5 power stations, churning out a staggering 750,000 kilowatts. Acquired by Midwest Generation in 1999, it chugged along until 2012, when relentless community protests over toxic pollution forced its shutdown, along with its neighbor, the Fisk generating station. At the time, these were among the last coal-fired plants humming in a major US city. But for this aging behemoth, closing wasn't the end of the nightmare. Demolition kicked off in 2019, unleashing a cascade of disasters. On December 30th, a worker tragically died in an accident, halting the project. Work resumed January 16, 2020, but the real catastrophe struck on April 11th. During the implosion of the concrete smokestack, a toxic dust plume erupted, blanketing the entire Little Village neighborhood in a choking haze. Residents watched in horror as a sickly yellow-gray fog filled the air, seeping through closed windows and doors. Laden with heavy metals and other carcinogens, the dust posed a dire threat to respiratory health, especially in a community already battered by industrial toxins and the raging COVID-19 pandemic. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot swiftly ordered a full stop to the demolition, while furious locals launched a class action lawsuit amid waves of fear and fury. Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul jumped in, filing suit on May 5, 2020, against demolition contractor Hilco Redevelopment Partners and its subcontractors for flouting state pollution laws. After years of grueling legal battles and negotiations, federal court finally ruled in 2024, green-lighting the $12.25 million payout. Though each plaintiff might pocket just $317 on average, the verdict carries profound weight. It's a resounding affirmation of residents' health rights and a scathing rebuke of the developer's negligence. In a neighborhood long scarred by environmental injustice, this settlement isn't just cash, it's a hard-won cry for accountability. First place, the rolling tower. Imagine an 80-year-old building that, instead of crumbling straight down after the blast, slowly, eerily rolls forward a full 180 degrees and lands upside down, 4 feet in the air, roof on the ground. The crowd's shock and confusion exploded like the charges themselves. This wasn't CGI. This wasn't a magic trick. This was a real demolition gone rogue. On August 1, 2009, a flour mill built in 1928 was scheduled for a routine implosion. Abandoned since the 1980s, it had faded from industrial glory into an urban eyesore, a dead zone in the path of a new shopping center. City planners greenlit the blast. Seasoned engineers mapped every charge, every collapse vector, but no one predicted this. After the detonation, the building didn't collapse vertically. It rolled, like a giant crate tipped by an invisible hand, until it came to rest with its ceiling on the dirt and its foundation pointing at the sky. The danger was unimaginable. The mill sat mere meters from a neighboring building. As it flipped, it just barely missed a catastrophic collision. One miscalculation, and the fallout would have been apocalyptic. Miraculously, no one was hurt, but the incident exposed a gaping flaw in the demolition plan. From a physics standpoint, a 180-degree roll is almost unheard of in controlled blasting. This wasn't an earthquake. This wasn't a hurricane. This was a man-made explosion, and yet the structure rolled forward as if guided by some bizarre force. Post-incident analysis by explosives experts pointed to 2 culprits: poorly placed charges, unassessed soil structure beneath the foundation. The blast shifted the center of gravity in an unexpected way, turning collapse into rotation. Local authorities launched an immediate investigation, overhauling demolition protocols. The engineering team, under intense scrutiny, publicly admitted fault and vowed to retrain and re-evaluate risk. But for the city, this wasn't just a failed job. It was a wake-up call. In a world of steel and concrete, every brick has a story. Every blast demands reverence. And that's it, our full countdown of the 10 most terrifying demolition disasters in history. Which one shocked you the most? Drop it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Thanks for watching. See you next time.